Claire. Oh, I didn't have a round. James.
Oh, really? Okay.
No,
right.
whichever.
All right, sure. It's 2,200 is a figure of American civilians I heard from Kabul as they're trying to, this mentoring thing. The problem with it, of course, is that alongside the 2,200 civilians, American civilians that are going to go in, and we're talking about microfinance experts and engineers and local administrators who are going to sit alongside the Afghans and do exactly what the Afghans, to train them up and work alongside them. The point being to get the governance going. This is the most important thing in the new project in Afghanistan, because the one thing that all Afghans say is they want an end to the corruption there. That is the most important thing, and this is the means by which the Americans are going to try and do it. The problem, of course, is that alongside the 2,200 or 2,500 civilians are 17,000 American troops going in, and with more to follow behind it. And if the Americans are going to go down this line of, they call it the comprehensive approach, that's the jargon for it, and comprehensive means that it's the military working alongside the civilians. It's supposed to work so that the military secure an area and then the civilian agencies pour into the middle and bring in development and this training and all the rest of it, and that's the purpose of the comprehensive approach. And we've been there before too. The Brits, when we went in 2006, went in with a plan called the comprehensive approach. What's happening now is that it's been Americanized, and the difference, of course, is that the Americans have gazillions more dollars and people and resources and all the rest of it. So they're going to try and do actually what the British were trying to do in Helmand on a much bigger scale. That's what we're going to see. Just to go back to your question, we're way off already, aren't we? But how we got into this mess in the first place. It's still not really clearly defined what we, the West, are doing in Afghanistan. That's the part of the problem. And David is right. I think it is an imperial project now. But there has been mission creep. The original purpose for going in was to get rid of Al Qaeda, who are using Afghanistan as a base. And as it turns out, it was mission accomplished in 2001. And you'll hear this a lot around Whitehall now, that, why are we still there 9 years later? Because this business of democracy and this business of bringing peace and McDonald's in every corner and all the rest of it is all kind of icing on the cake. And the argument goes that if we don't do this for Afghanistan, if we don't turn it into a European-style democracy, and then we leave, then Al Qaeda will come straight back. And you hear it time and time again from the government. This is the line that Miliband puts out every time he's asked, what are we doing there? You get the same stuff. It's from everybody, from everyone in the government. If we don't do this, it's a direct security threat to British interests, and terrorism will come back. And I take issue with that. I think it's complete rubbish. I've never believed it for a minute. Al Qaeda were thrown out in 2001. They were forced out into Pakistan. The idea that they would come back in, there's absolutely no evidence for that. The Taliban, I think, would be crazy to have them back. I agree there's no evidence in the other direction at the moment, but that's because, this is I'm warming to my theme here, nobody's asked them. There has been no dialogue with Mullah Omar in the Quetta Shura. There's been no proper discussion with him about what it is they actually want. Traditionally, the Taliban, all they wanted was to set up their version of an Islamic utopia within their borders, within Afghanistan. And I admit it's changing now with Pakistan and the linking up of these rather terrifying new organizations. But traditionally, the Taliban never had a foreign policy. There has never been a Taliban bomb on London streets. They weren't interested in it. All they wanted to do was to establish their own utopia. And they were on their way to doing that. They had the government in the late 90s, and we threw them out because they were hosting Al Qaeda. And there's been this very dangerous conflation over the last 10 years between Al Qaeda and the Taliban, which is now being perhaps understood better, and it's coming apart again. But that's that I think is the answer is why we're there. Plus, you had Tony Blair in this country, a prime minister who believed in the doctrine of intervention, when he was keen to go in and sort the place out, along with the neocon experiment. I think that's sort of an answer, is it? I hope it is. I'll stop.